Hello there, I'm Laura Young. Welcome to my webinar, 7 Ways Women Lose Their Feminine Power and How to Reclaim What They've Lost. The content of this webinar is part of a larger body of work, and if you find this helpful, I'll give you more information as we go along. During our time together, I will do what I can to give you enough substance to get you started, whether you are a beginner or further along in your journey. It doesn't matter how often you have struggled. Nothing is wasted. The yearning, the confusion, the push, the pull means that your soul is stirring. Each step means you can never go back to the plateau that you left behind. There's really no going back. You can't unring the bell. So welcome to coming forward out of denial into your feminine power, or more of your feminine power, if you've already tasted it. So who is this webinar for? Well, to start with, this webinar is for the woman who feels deep in her heart and deep in her bones there has to be more, much more, than the life she is living. She may not have the tools yet to break out of the pervasive fog, or the feeling of being stuck, or the feeling of being trapped. So welcome. There's something here, no matter where you are on your journey. This webinar is for women whose families did not value their uniqueness and pressured them to fit in. For those who want a loving and engaged partnership, but are experiencing repetitive struggles in relationship after relationship that are similar and unsatisfying. Why is that? It's also for those who have not dared to risk being powerful enough to follow their dreams. For those who use their power in a false way, either suppressing anger or expressing it in a toxic way. Part of the journey is to stop using anger in a toxic way and understand its passion for life and how to use it in an uplifting, spiritual way. It's for those who felt a taste of strength and power, but stopped themselves for fear of not being accepted if they came across as being too strong or too independent. It's also for the woman who is too nice for her own good to open up to the strength and power in kindness instead. For the woman who hides her power to protect others from being uncomfortable. For those who have faulty beliefs about failure. For those who have faulty beliefs around a rescuer, believing that someday a prince will come or the boss will rescue them or they'll win a lottery. For women who say, I shouldn't feel this way, I already have a lot. Do you experience a chasm between what you desire and the life you're living right now? Multitudes of women with hearts on fire for more in life have denied their desires and have pushed down the fire to fit in to what was expected, a smaller frame, so to speak. They have been taught to hold themselves back and do what others expected of them, which denies the possibility of feeling feminine power. This very action sets them up to be full of aches and longings, while living smaller versions of what they came to live. What I know for sure, and am here to impress on you, is that although the fire is dimmed, the fire is not out. I thought the fire was out. I stirred the ashes. I burnt my fingers. Antonio Machado. So let's rekindle the fire. Feminine power is much like self-esteem. Nobody is without, and nobody has enough. So take my hand. So what does feminine power look like? A few of my colleagues have challenged my use of feminine power. They thought it might be a negative for women to hear feminine power, women who are seeking help, but I don't think so. Most women have difficulties claiming their feminine power. In some areas they can have feminine power at work but not at home, or vice versa. They may have power with spouse and children but feel about 12 when visiting parents. Women have been living in the world for centuries that has not valued their power. Only one half of the world's power has been used and available. Our half has been missing for the most part. The male template has pretty well excluded many of our gifts. Forget about blame and anger, but let's be intense and present and come out of denial. Let's take a stand on the side of responsibility for ourselves. What I know for sure is that a lack of feminine power is learned behavior. If our mothers and grandmothers did not experience power, how could they teach us? They too were victims of their conditioning and faulty beliefs, and they passed down to us, fit in, don't make waves, don't make us uncomfortable, and become too successful. In other words, the message was, don't ask for so much, be grateful, and settle. The word power is often confused with the negative energy of force. Nothing could be further from the truth. Power arises from all that is noble in a human being. Power unifies and does not move against. This has nothing to do with women acting abrasive or mannish to get ahead. Some of that philosophy occurred right after the 60s, and the 60s, although it did a lot for us to step out of our boxes, did not come full circle. Force, on the other hand, is a weak energy, and force moves against, polarizing, and making enemies. Take a moment and reflect on the state of our country and the world. What you see, for the most part, is the result of force, not power. The world is in desperate need of our power, our gifts, our intuition, our willingness, our creativity, our ability to see more of the bigger picture. In some ways, the world is crying for us to marry our gifts with what succeeds and what is best in the male template. So women of the world unite, reach up, reach out, love yourself, love others. Use your power to change the insanity in the world. Start with your own life, start with your own family, your own community. Like a stone rippling in the pond, whatever you do, whatever you claim, will ripple out. You don't have to go out in the world and do big things, but you could. Although I'm well aware there's more than 7 obstacles that get in the way of expressing feminine power and having a full, abundant life, the 7 that I'm addressing are quite often hidden. And so often we can't make progress. We make progress and then we slide back and get discouraged. And one of the reasons we can't make progress is until we know what's hidden and become comfortable with bringing it up to the light of day, it's harder to make progress in other areas and other beliefs that we have to change. What we will do here is similar to planting an herb. In order to plant an herb and expect it to be flourishing on your Thanksgiving dinner, you have to prepare the soil, allow the soil to accept the seed, make sure there's enough sun, enough water. In some ways, we're like the herb. One thing we don't do for the herb is go out and pluck it to see if it's growing. If you're inquiring as to how to be happier in your life, to have a fuller life, how to make changes, wanting to know what's stopping you, wanting to know other ways of handling problems, knowing that there's more, knowing that there's much more, and you can have it, you deserve to have it, you're at the right place. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm very aware that there's something incredible afoot. The old paradigm of limiting beliefs and conditioning is dying. Old rules of raising girls and boys to a different standard are being confronted. Expectations of parents that pressure children to fit in so they and others will be comfortable are dissolving. The changes I'm witnessing in my clients are radical and incredible. Women individually and in droves are stepping up to create an expansive energy that means no more. No more will I be invisible. No more will I adhere to faulty beliefs and limited power and act as though I'm all right with that. Women have stopped denying and know what they truly deserve with the courage. Of course, it's been supported somewhat by the Me Too movement, but it's incredible the undercurrent of energy that is fueling this movement. So when this momentum reaches a critical mass, when it reaches a tipping point, the world will never be the same. And we, women, all need to unite so that our energy does reach a tipping point and we count and help make the world a different place. This will have an enormous impact on how we raise our children, on our relationships, on the church, community mores, and the world at large. And it's already happening. What do you yearn for? What do you need to know? What do you need to experience in order to have a fuller life and to feel the fullness of your feminine power? Whatever your personal situation, you know there is more, much more. Although you yearn for more and want to be a part of the greater life, you may experience a push towards changing and a pull to remain the same. You are not alone in this. We all experience this when we're attempting to step out of our comfort zone. Are you thriving in life? Do you find that in spite of many accomplishments and years of pursuing goals and years of personal inner work, you find that there's a deep chasm between what you desire and what is really manifesting in your life? The restlessness that you experience is not to be denied. It just means your soul is calling you to a more abundant way of living. It means you haven't awakened yet to the kind of creative power that you need to be able to express to receive what you deeply yearn for. It may be that the stumbling blocks are hidden. Are you ready to know what you don't know? One time I had a computer person say to me, and we were talking, and it seemed like we were talking in two different languages, and she could tell I was exasperated, trying to understand and follow, and she finally just said, "Laura, you really don't know what you don't know. So let's start over." And she was absolutely right. It stung a bit, but she was absolutely right. I didn't know what I didn't know. And here we are. What is it at an inner level you need to know for real transformation to occur? Even though it's a wonderful time to be a woman and there's high energy and openness to change afoot, I meet women all the time who've come to a place in their lives where they say, "What about me?" They don't feel like they're in this flow, or they do not feel they belong to a community. Quite often they've been involved in taking care of others, almost to the point of forgetting themselves. A familiar theme is, I don't know who I really am. I really don't know what I want going forward. I just feel stuck. In this situation, they find themselves pressured by culture and loved ones not to question too much, not to upset the status quo, not to be angry, because that kind of thing makes others uncomfortable. So at this juncture, quite often women feel stuck and frustrated and in overwhelm. They're so determined they have to shake things up. They often try to break free of this entrapment or this impasse by getting frenetically busy. They try to fill up the emptiness with, new classes, join a club, often drink too much, exercise too much, diet too much. In turn, this only drains them of their energy, because this kind of thing can't help, because it just skims the surface. What women are being asked to do here is know you'll be discouraged, just rise above it. That the superficial does not solve your problems is a given. Stop blaming yourself and know that this is an inner journey. You can still continue many of your outside activities, but in order for a shift to occur, it has to transform on the inside. It's easy to be overwhelmed by anxiety and self-doubt. It's easy to have feelings of insecurity and instability. My work will help you, I hope, to create a safe container to hold challenging, conflicting emotions while you gather courage and while you gather skills to increase your feminine power. It can be your reality. There is a warning here. This webinar may be dangerous for you in some ways. How is that, you ask? To the degree that you start claiming more of your feminine power, you turn what you thought was fixed or settled upside down and inside out. Once you start examining your life with an intention to know, with an intention to resolve what is holding you back, you will never be the same. It will alter how you see yourself, change your story, change your worldview, and face it, some people may not like that. Where to start? 800 years ago, a mystic and poet, Rumi, said it best. Start walking. Start walking towards Shams. Your legs will get heavy and tired. Then comes the moment of feeling the wings you have grown, lifting. Even though I've helped thousands of women to find their feminine power, my desire, passion, and yearning to share never gets old. I know what is possible once a woman decides and starts walking towards her true north. So pull out a notebook and start taking notes. And as we go through these obstacles, make some notes and start writing your personal power around each of these obstacles. It may surprise you how much denial you have been carrying just to keep things safe and to fit in and to keep others from being uncomfortable. We all have a story around each of these obstacles. One is to write your actual story as it is without judgment. Two is to create the story that you want around these obstacles and how you're going to resolve them. You might ask, and rightly so, who am I and why should you listen to me? Because I, Laura B. Young, have worked my way out of helplessness and poverty into an ever-evolving feminine power, no finished product here, and an abundant life. My story is not neat and linear. As life usually goes, my story is messy. I was born into poverty, lost my parents at a young age, and spent many years in an orphanage where my inner wild child was stuffed in a box. The motto was be seen and not heard. As a single mom with 2 daughters after 13 years of marriage, I spent years attending the university at night to become a psychotherapist. After a stint at mental health, I established what was my dream, to establish a private practice, whereby I've been privileged to help thousands of people, mostly women, to move into a stronger sense of who they are. So I've crossed many thresholds, and I continue to be a work in progress. Don't worry about completion. It never happens. Dear to my heart is to be able to share what I know with you. I want to spare you some time and some pain. I feel like if I can do it where I came from, so can you. The 7 obstacles that I want to address, to the extent time permits, is 1, a lack of feminine power or disempowerment. 2, the rescuer myth, and how is that working for you? 3, been too nice when kindness is stronger. 4, why the masculine template for success doesn't work for you. 5, how to reclaim your wild child and why it's absolutely necessary. 6, our problems with anger and how we make that potential for passion a toxic energy. 7, branding still occurs, how to change that. Let me start with the lack of feminine power or disempowerment, one feather at a time. Recently, I heard the former Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, discuss her new book on fascism and how slyly it sneaks into different countries different ways. She likened the process to a chicken being plucked one feather at a time. I thought, wow, this is also a metaphor for what happens to girls in our culture. So pervasive and sly. The conditioning occurs on a day-to-day basis, and we are disempowered because it usually happens before the age of reason when we're totally dependent on our caretakers. And our caretakers, let me say, are also victims of conditioning. So it's not about blaming them here. It's about understanding what happened to you and what might be tripping you up on your journey. We feel the sting of disempowerment, and sometimes we accept it for being the way it is. We don't even know what to call it. Sometimes we know we just feel bad or embarrassed or shamed, and we cannot express. We're left with a choice later on in life to accept the status quo and remain powerless, or to start healing our wounds. Just remember our caretakers, mothers, grandmothers, fathers, any perpetrator that diminished our feminine power was also a victim of conditioning. Now, I belong to an earlier era of blatant inequities. You know, the kind that said, be seen and not heard, be girdled, be white-gloved, be smooth-haired. In my case, it was more or less like a cosmic joke, with my frizzy curly hair that could never be smooth or hidden. It just added to my bag of quirks of not fitting in. Reminds me of a quote by Arian that says, never hide your green hair. They can see it anyway. Let me give you some examples how disempowerment slides in. Emily grew up in a family where art was devalued in a way that says, stop doodling and get to work. Pressured to qualify for a real and solid career, Emily believed the family story about becoming a starving artist if she pursued her creativity. I saw her when she was in her 40s, an accountant, depressed and unhappy with her life. She said, I filled all the right boxes, but they didn't work for me. Being an accountant may make another person very happy, but with Emily's particular creativity, it stifled hers. And here's the case of Amy. She had older brothers who climbed trees, got muddy, and played outdoors forever. Amy followed her brothers quite often, but was stifled when she played. She heard, don't climb, don't get dirty, don't yell like that, all the while her brothers were having crazy fun. She told me she became rather fearful and never had a chance to develop her physical courage. Amy's situation reminded me of, Mother, may I go out to swim? Yes, my darling daughter. Hang your clothes on a hickory limb, but don't go near the water. You may look cute in your bathing suit, but act just like you oughta. Now and then you can flirt with the men, but don't go near the water. Amy's mother, come to find out, was active in the first wave, as I call it, in the 60s, on behalf of the feminist revolution. So what was she thinking? Obviously, she did not make the changes that would have freed her up and thus freed Amy. So you see how disempowerment can slide in, impact us in the ways we live. In the case of Judy, Judy had a gift of knowing and occasionally could see beyond the present. Often in childhood exuberance, she burst into a family conversation by saying, "That's not right, that's not what I see, and she was told to be quiet and shamed about being weird and different. She started denying her intuitive hunches and worked hard to fit in. When I saw her, she seemed a mere shadow of a woman, thin and withdrawn. She was depressed and denied her intuition. She eventually found her courage to trust her intuition, to step through and beyond the faulty beliefs of her childhood, and to reclaim her feminine power. We've come a long way, and we have miles to go." The second obstacle I'm addressing is how the rescuer myth diminishes feminine power. We may think, oh no, we're independent and we have created a career and we know what we're doing. But sometimes there's a very hidden belief around someone will be there if we get into a struggle. And who will that be? Will it be Daddy, my prince, the lottery, or the emperor with no clothes? And then, after all that waiting for the emperor, will you have the courage to mention the naked thing? Even in today's freer environment, and this is changing, but even today, parents, covertly or overtly, continue to tell their daughters to use their college experiences to find and marry the right man. Inside of this empty bubble is an implicit message. Please fit in. Don't make us uneasy. Be nice. Do not become powerful in your own right. It's all right if you marry a powerful man or a man who will become powerful. I've had people come to me in their 30s in crisis, mostly women, utterly paralyzed and distraught about what to do next. They usually tell me they went to the right schools, churches, colleges, joined the right clubs, married the right man, and now look at me, they cry. Is this all there is? Unfortunately, what they were set up to do was right for their parents, but not for them. They had been tutored to do what was expected and to fit in. They were not encouraged to claim power of their own. After a crisis of some sort, they usually find themselves having to make those initial steps to self-responsibility and personal power. Sometimes it's even slyer. I had a woman running a company, very smart, intelligent, wonderful personality, beloved by her employees, tell me that when she went to college, she married the person she thought was the right man, and she had not given her career any chance at being successful. In the meantime, her career soared, and her husband's rather flatlined. She talked about the confusion she was feeling of being full and confident and sure of herself at work, and then coming home and moving into a submissive role of being a good housewife, good wife, so as not to make her husband, the right man, the right choice of her youth, uncomfortable or threatened. Let me tell you about a TV commercial I saw recently. It was an ad about a popular dating and meeting site. It showed several young people discussing how the medium made it easy to connect with compatible people. Towards the end of the commercial, a young woman came to center screen and spoke in wistful tones. "I am ready to be with a good man. Come and find me." It was just an ad, but it distressed me to see this in 2018. A 20-year-old girl with a philosophy of waiting to be chosen. The content of the ad did not put the power of the sexes on equal footing. Have young women nationally responded negatively to such a powerless statement? Come and find me. like a man might be shopping for a car or a possession. What happens to a woman's power in such a statement? Why isn't a woman's right to choose up front and center here, 2018? Why is this message acceptable after what so many women have gone through to enlighten us? Most importantly, and the first step into feminine power, is to come out of denial as to how poorly we think about and treat ourselves. What is your story around being rescued? Be brutally honest. No holds barred. Write your story and do not judge it. Take some time and reflect before you decide to rewrite the story into how you want it to be. I'll digress now from the 7 obstacles for a few minutes to tell you why and how journaling can help you. I want to share with you the power journaling puts in your hands as a tool for healing. If you're willing to come out of denial to know what's tripping you up, journal. If you want to feel more worthy of an incredible life, journal. If you're ready to change the old story of unhappiness that you've been living in order to create a new story, journal. In my practice, journaling is called the therapist between sessions. Do you know how to use journaling to find out what is hidden? Much more on how to find the hidden and how to heal what you find is shared in my larger body of work. Information and links will be given to you at the end of our time together. Uncertainty is troublesome for all of us. Don't think there's anything wrong because you feel uncomfortable. Welcome it. Discomfort is a prerequisite to growth and healing. Welcome journaling as a powerful entry into what is hidden, into the unknown. It is best if you write by hand when you journal, because the hand is more connected to your unconscious than a computer. However, the main thing is to write, using whatever means is best for you. So stop a minute and relax before you journal. Why relax, you ask? Because from birth until about 7, we are in a relaxed, almost sleepy energy. Our brain waves are slower brain waves of delta until about 2, and then theta. The beta or thinking brain waves don't start till about 6 or 7. The early relaxed time is the time when we merge with our environment and take in everything as if it were the truth. It's a time of magical thinking, and we think we're the center or the cause of everything that happens. If mommy yells when we spill milk, we believe we are bad and caused her anger. Relaxation then is crucial because much of what currently holds us back is unknown and imprinted during the time of slower brain waves. A state of relaxation is more like the brain waves we experienced when the faulty beliefs were taken in. Relaxation allows you to go deeper and connect with the very young self more easily. Relaxation means getting closer to the energy of our life at that time when we took in faulty beliefs. This relaxed state is a healing state that works when I use hypnosis. This way of journaling works very much like self-hypnosis. As you write and your journey unfolds, you will become aware of hidden obstacles that are holding you back. Write your life situation as it is right now, not as you wish it to be. Write about your early life without blinders on. Remember, for instance, none of us are the age we look. Inside of all of us are younger parts, depending on the age we were when woundedness occurred. You know the buttons that get pushed, the patterns that keep us stuck. These are behaviors that are repetitive, that probably started at a very early age. So bring up an image of yourself as a little child. What do you see? Don't judge, just look. Feel her innocence. Is she happy? Is she withdrawn, shy, or angry? Does she trust you? Do you like her? Do you feel warmth and love for her? What behaviors did she adapt to get by in the family? Does she need forgiveness? Write her a letter. Ask her if she'll cooperate and join you in learning new ways to be in the world. Wait for her answer. If she's not ready, ask her what it will take for her to trust you enough to be ready. Do you need to forgive yourself? Have you treated a younger version of yourself badly? Have you ignored her, suppressed her feelings to get by? Write a letter. Be patient. You cannot go from the unknown to the known in a single leap. Most important is your willingness to come out of denial to know the truth. Journaling supports your process as you pull up images and you allow them to unfold. Look at early life, family beliefs, family behaviors, conditionings, or struggles. Add school to that. Add church. Add cultural mores. Write whatever applies. Just for a teaching example, let's look at Emily's situation again. At first she journaled her earliest memories about her creativity being stifled, frowned upon, and dismissed in her family. Creativity was the very essence of her core self. On the surface, there seemed to be one major issue. As she journaled, she realized that the sting of that devaluation echoed in many areas of her life. Believing that her doodling was wrong, she did it on the sly and then felt bad for sneaking. Different than other family members, she was ridiculed. She felt shame about being different. She whittled herself into an acceptable version to do the family bidding and became an accountant. As she continued journaling, more hidden and faulty beliefs about herself was revealed. With low self-esteem, she felt unworthy of having dreams of her own. She didn't believe that she had value to contribute, believing she was not enough. The pattern of submissiveness contributed to a low-grade depression that followed her into her adult years. She eventually reclaimed her courage and strength. Notice I said reclaim, as we all have it in the beginning. She was able to separate truth from fiction. She found her way back to her essence, to express her creativity, thus her feminine power. There is more to Emily's story. However, I wanted you just to have a peek at the power of journaling and what it can unravel. We have no idea of the depth of a person's story from a superficial glance. Emily's story and her pain may not be your story, but it will give you some idea of how important it is to lift the rocks and look under. One hurtful thing in a little girl's life is never just one thing. There is no telling how others' dismissive actions deplete confidence, thus feminine power. Suppressed pain works negatively in the caverns of our unconscious until we find it. Journaling allows you to truly know your inner self, layer by layer, bringing the possibility of not just change, but deep transformation. As you write your story, accept what you find with compassion, without judgment. Accepting doesn't mean we like it, but it is a starting point, a foundation for us to build on, so to speak. We have to start somewhere. Be merciful if you have been betraying yourself due to circumstances within or beyond your control. Give yourself permission to change whatever negative behaviors you had to adapt earlier to get by. To the extent that you are confident, lovable, willing to forgive yourself, and know in your heart that you are enough, only to that extent can you have a great life. Only to that extent can you have full feminine power. The truth is that most of us have missing pieces, so don't give in to discouragement. I think this poem by an anonymous poet says it all. I worked for a menial hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. What are you asking from life? Life mirrors back to us what is true for us at this point and at this time. Life mirrors back to us what we believe we are worthy of. Cannot be otherwise. So lift the rocks and see the truth underneath. Journal as if your life depended on it. So it does. Hopefully by now you have a more in-depth understanding how to use journaling to start your healing process and to shift into another space towards a new story. I hope you will take to heart what I've given you and write. Going back now to the ways we lose our feminine power, we look at another obstacle. The obstacle is how we handle feminine power and success. Have you become discouraged using the male template of success? Do you know why that is? The prevailing template, a masculine model that we try to make work for us, has been discouraging. Not to disparage the template. However, it's not sufficient for women, nor is it sufficient for men. If you look at the state of the world, the male power tends to move into force, which is causing a lot of negativity and pain in the world. It doesn't go far enough, is the problem. Something is missing, and that which is missing is one half of the world's power, our power. The following qualities are attributed to masculine power, and we need these qualities. But look at logical, linear, angular, hard, penetrating, predictable, and active. The emphasis on competition and autonomy. Now look at the qualities that are attributed to feminine power. Intuition, receptiveness, willingness, curiosity, creativity, inclusiveness, and community. So if you marry the strengths of both together, you would have an indescribable power. None of us are purely feminine or purely masculine in our power, but for so long the feminine power has been either dismissed or overlooked. Is it then any wonder we struggle with the prevailing model and then we get discouraged? Whether you feel a little power or a lot, the world needs you desperately. Men also need our power to help them out of their limitations. We have to stand strong together and be counted for a world shift to occur. Although you want this power in abundance, you may not know what to do next. Our culture then values a very narrow version of success, and women lose personal power when they do not make space for their special strengths and create their own template that speaks to their authentic selves and their authentic needs. Women are more apt to be willing to be beginners, to be curious, to set ego aside, and that in itself, it makes a space for more wisdom to occur. Women, if they would value their own power, know how to use the power of their feelings, their wisdom, their intuition, their emotional intelligence, to name a few dynamite ways women succeed when they're true to themselves. They're particularly effective in negotiating because one of their strengths is in uniting, not dividing. Start journaling your story about success in your family of origin. What were the prevailing beliefs around success? What were the beliefs around females and success versus males and success? Did you see yourself growing up to have feminine power? Or did you believe somehow there would be a rescuer who would be powerful and you would bask in a second-hand power? Be brutally honest. Use the journal to look at what is, and use the journal after you write your old story up until now, and then decide what your new story is going to be. Do you feel worthy of success? Do you value women's strengths as you approach success? My work encourages you to claim the powerful strengths that are essentially yours as you prepare for success. Once a woman starts valuing herself and feels worthy of success, She is a force, a power to be reckoned with. And now we will come to the fourth way that women give their power away, or the fourth obstacle to feminine power. And that is being too nice. Being too nice depletes feminine power. Do you know why that is? Well, let me tell you. Females are pressured. Be nice. Don't be angry. Anger is not nice. So the message is stifle, particularly around negative or angry feelings. Fit in and keep everybody around comfortable. A woman is harassed if she's considered too independent and referred to often as aggressive, which of course it would equate being not nice. So you have the choice. If you look at what your niceness has cost you, what is your life story? Are you too nice for your own good? Most females are pressured to be nice from an early age. It doesn't matter if it's in their best interest or not. A client of mine remembered when, as a child of 7, her mother slapped her for not being nice enough to a crotchety old neighbor. She was afraid of the neighbor. Mother wouldn't listen. Mother was invested in being nice at the expense of her daughter's feelings. Is there something in your story around your feelings being dismissed and you pressured to be nice in spite of what you felt? You've no doubt heard, she is such a nice person. When I have a client being invested in being really nice, I know my work will be more difficult. The person who's really nice is usually deep in denial and tends to be a people pleaser. She has no idea she's betraying herself to be nice. The price for being nice is that it contributes to weakness and strips away feminine power. Really nice often covers up feelings of inadequacy and often a desperate need to seek the approval of others. Give up niceness and embrace the power of kindness. There's personal power in kindness. Kind people have good self-esteem, are able to love themselves and others. Because they know who they are, they expect to be treated with respect. Kindness emerges from someone who is confident, compassionate, and comfortable with themselves. A kind person gives out of the kindness of their heart and doesn't provoke guilt and expectations. Feminine power means being able to say yes when you really mean it and saying no, thank you. When you say no to things you do not want to do, then you can say yes and be fully engaged. Journal around your story and decide if you will choose the strength in kindness instead of niceness. Because I took time out to explore journaling, which I think was very important, I may have to just skim over the next 3 obstacles that we have. There is more, much more in my larger body of work in terms of exercises, techniques, strategies that will help you in any area where you find yourself stuck. Another way that women lose their power is that they have suppressed their early wildness. Who shamed your wildness away? It is very important that you recover your wildness. We are born earthy, sensual, confident, light in our eyes, feelings intact and ready to express. Look at a baby and you look at wholeness that tends to get carved away little by little as we go through the let's get her civilized process. Wildness is authentic, being in a moment, and a powerful force. What happened to your wildness? Journal around that. Find out the early story and then how it changed. Wildness is truth, and truth is experienced as dangerous in many settings. It begins in the family who fear we won't fit in, so they can be proud of us and then proud of themselves for having such civilized children. Those who are supposed to love us and accept us start consciously or unconsciously carving us into acceptable form very early. Then you add to that all the pressures of school, church, and teachings, etc. So what is your wildness story? Do you have a memory of your wildness, the juicy, earthy confidence of you? If you don't have a memory, put one there that you would like to have had, one that you can resonate with. You have to find her again, uncover her if she's been suppressed. It's never totally lost. It's just pushed down and covered up. How long has it been since I spent a whole night in a twin bed with a stranger, his warm arms around me? Joan Baez. It doesn't have to be a wild encounter with a stranger, but it could be. Wild does not fit into logical order. It is natural and causes your heart to flutter with warmth and passion. It elevates above the mundane. This energy gives you an opportunity to glimpse the beauty of your essence and feel a connectedness to all that is. With practice, you can experience it again and again. When this happens, you taste infinity. Once you taste infinity, you will never be the same. The sixth way we give away our power is through inappropriate expression of anger. So I say turn the passion of anger into feminine power. What is your anger story? We all have one. Anger can be used as a powerful bridge to having more feminine power. It's a tough one to get balanced. Some suppress and push it down. We know people who say, "Not me, I'm not angry." Not true. And then we have some who go from suppression to explosion, also inappropriate. I have many exercises to help you make friends with your anger in my larger body of work. Suppression is not the answer. When we squelch what we don't like, we also suppress our lightness. We cannot pick and choose. It takes an enormous amount of energy to suppress the power in anger. With so much of us suppressed, we become like shadow people, seemingly empty. When we suppress one end of the spectrum, we suppress the other. So write your story around anger in order to work your way through a balance. And know that as long as you're human, you will have anger. It's how we express it makes the difference. The seventh obstacle, or way we lose power, is through branding. Branding still occurs. And why it still occurs is because women are not unifying against the branding. If mom or grandmother didn't have feminine power, they couldn't pass it down to you. Because you don't feel your feminine power, you do not trust yourself. And so if you do not trust yourself and love yourself and appreciate yourself and know that you're worthy, you don't trust others and you project that helplessness onto others and don't feel a solid connection to other women. Sometimes women are so branded they might as well have bad on their foreheads. Even though much has changed, there are still many subtle ways of branding that starves the heart of a woman. This leaves her powerless and helpless and disconnected from sisterhood. So women of the world, unite, stand together, and claim your feminine power. As our time together comes to a close, let me tell you, I'm truly passionate about offering my work as part of the solution for change in the narrative for women. I want to be an influence for women to claim their birthright, their feminine power, to influence their lives, thus the world. I'm offering my life work to this point to be a guide to help you find your potential, a full, incredible life. This I know for sure. We're all given moments when we have amazing clarity about our possibilities. Just lasts a second or two, and then the curtain closes just like a purse snapping shut. And we are left wondering if it's real. And we are left with longing for what we saw. This I know for sure. At a deep level, you know it is your truth. It is your possibility. It is your potential. Just taking these steps so far have loosened within you a tremendous power, your feminine power. Stay the course. You can do this. Take the next step, and when you do, your power will certainly build. Like a glacier coming down the mountain, you will steadily move forward, steadily gaining momentum in your feminine power, thus your life. Don't stop here. Everything you've done so far has prepared you to take the next step. The next step takes you to my 3-part series called Manifest an Incredible Life. It contains 3 ebooks, 3 workbooks, 3 audios covering 15 ways we can get tripped up in our journey. Each part goes deeply and expansively into what may be holding you back. The link LauraBYoung.com /manifest/ will be given to you. Part 1 gives you what you need to know about bridging the difference between what you say you want and what is really in your life right now, and how to change it. It covers the fundamentals and explains why our results are good one day and maybe the next day not so good or muddied. It's best to start here. Part 2 helps you uncover, identify, and release fears that get in the way of happiness. You discover 5 top self-limiting beliefs that interfere with your purpose in life. For instance, procrastination is in there. It examines how it steals our dreams. It helps you address change before a crisis occurs and takes your choices away. It addresses faulty beliefs about love, money, power, success, God, and how they're all tangled up with feelings of scarcity and unworthiness, feelings of I'm not enough. It addresses how fitting in stifles real freedom and your conflict about that. It turns your usual way of thinking about failure upside down. It addresses why some women fear success. And then in part 3, allows you to discover the essential tools and techniques to make friends with what is hidden. By taking these 15 incredible steps and using these 15 incredible secrets, you will gain mastery in your life both consciously and unconsciously. Until we know what's hidden, we continue to be tripped up or stuck in old repetitive patterns. Let's face it, we cannot will it away or we'd all be ecstatically happy. We have to take the steps. Never again will you say, I can't believe that I'm with the same kind of man, or I can't believe that I said that, or I can't ever get ahead, I live from paycheck to paycheck. Money and spirituality doesn't go together, it causes me conflict. This is not the life I thought I'd had, and much more. You can resolve this now. Start now. If what I've offered you so far has triggered your womanly curiosity about how to create the life you deserve, go to my larger body of work. Plus, I'm offering a timely bonus. For the first 20 buyers, I'm offering a 30-minute free consultation regarding any obstacle that you feel is tripping you up. My work will move you into a deeper and more profound experience of knowing yourself. Go to LauraBYoung.com /manifest/ the link will be in the PowerPoint. Here is a timely poem for all of us. I have not ceased being fearful, but I have ceased to let fear control me. I have accepted fear as part of life, especially the fear of change and the fear of the unknown. And I have gone ahead, despite the pounding in my heart that says, turn back. Erica John, thank you for your precious time and attention. See you further down the road.